All right.
Get tight.
35.
That is distance. That it is being stupid.
That's good afternoon,
Assist
fellow
you behind
Rotarians.
him.
Right on time.
That's right.
Yeah, I know.
No, this is awesome to have some chatter going on. This is great because up till now it's been so quiet on my side. So it's awesome to have all the chatter and the people getting together. So welcome everyone. So welcome to the afternoon weekly meeting of the Rotary Club of Barrie. A special welcome to our visiting Rotarians and guests. Things go better when you are here. We will now begin our meeting in the usual way with O Canada and a toast to the Queen.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons command. With glowing eyes we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
That was beautiful. Takia, we will learn a little bit more about her a little bit later. Introduction of guests and visiting Rotarians. I do see a few guests out there. Could the Rotarians help introduce?
President Deb, it's Steve Meadley from the Rotary Club of Bracebridge and your Assistant Governor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining.
President Deb, my guest today is Tanya Sari.
Welcome, Tanya. Now I saw
My guest
Shelley
today is Bonnie Hope.
Debbie, I'll take an opportunity to introduce Iain Moggach, who's going to be our guest speaker today.
Wonderful, thank you.
President,
Now, Bob, yes?
we have a guest with a whole group of Rotarians here, and just in case Sergeant at Arms Eric missed it, past President Jim Williams just showed up. And I think it's 12:18, just to let you know. Sorry to throw you under the bus, Jimmy. But we do have a guest here today, Paula J's in the back, and a whole group of Rotarians, Wallace, Larry, Todd Armstrong, Chuck, Catherine, Jim, Katie, and myself.
Wonderful, that is awesome. So glad to see the fellowship happening. Do you have any more groups out there? Scott, I see a whole bunch. Scotty, I see a whole bunch of people behind you.
You're unmuted. Booming military type voice here.
That is the champion dragon boat team who maintains their record for 2 years now.
Excellent. And Bob, I did see Shelley pop in. Oh, Bob's on mute.
President Debbie, we've got a group at Michael Collier, with Kara Hofsummer, Dave McCullough, Gary Pearson, Bernie Still, Mike LeCollier, myself, and Mike's guest, Bonnie Hope.
Well, you kind of got Kara, but you got Kara a bit late, as we noted.
What's he talking about?
So dangerous. Well, welcome everyone. We really appreciate you joining us, and certainly things go better when you are here. We hope you enjoy the meeting. Let's see, flip over. Our Beacon editor today is Wallace Mackay. Thank you, Wallace. I know this is not your favorite thing to do, but I so appreciate when you're doing it. So if you do have any announcements, anything, please send them off to Wallace, make it a little easier to do the Beacon. And thank you very much, Jeff Hand. He did his inaugural first Beacon last week, which hopefully will be one of many. He did a great job. Thank you. Do we have any special presentations or announcements? Any announcements? Oh, that's a quick one. Okay, birthdays and anniversaries. Where did I put my sheet? So birthdays, lots of really special people. Betty Ann, Todd, Tucky, and myself. So July's a good month. Anniversaries, Ron and Kim Riley, August 3rd, 35 years. I think Kim deserves a medal for that one. Club anniversaries, Marshall Green, 41 years, August 2nd. Doug Jur, 2 years, August 2nd. And Mallory Steele, 2 years, August 2nd. So happy birthday, happy anniversary, Jeff.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to
you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday
to you.
Okay, that's awesome. Happy birthday. And in honor of your birthday, please accept the congratulations of the club. For your birthday, 5 polio plus vaccinations in your name. And for your anniversary, a contribution to the Polio COVID Resource Center. So, did everybody enjoy the song? All right, there, okay. A few nods, okay. Thank you for that. SAA Eric, you are back from a silent vacation.
Yes, I am, President Deb. At 7 days, no technology, 5 days in a silence retreat, about 5 hours a day of varied meditation practice, and about 3 hours a day of hiking with the puppy, because the puppy was with me.
What I want to know is, how did you tell the puppy to go pee silently?
Pretty much mostly hand signals. We did do a couple of voice commands where needed, but we worked on silent signals for a week and a half beforehand.
Okay, so I just have to ask, what is the hand signal for go pee?
Pretty much sit. Sit was working for her.
Oh, okay. All the dog lovers out there will get that, because anybody who's had a puppy at 2 in the morning when you're out there, you know, in the middle of the backyard trying to get the little one to like go pee so you can go back to bed will appreciate that. But S.A. Eric, you've got a few things. You've been busy.
I do. Jeff, if you don't mind pulling up our deck, that'd be great. Okay, just a quick reminder again of virtual etiquette. Keep an eye on your addressing of President Deb. I was trying to model that behavior for you. It's all about respect for Rotary. I didn't see that Wayne Dennis was online today. Anybody notice if Wayne came in? No. One of the things, of course, is to make sure that you can, if possible, stand for the anthem. I noticed that Wayne's dogs weren't standing last week, so I wasn't sure if he needed to kind of bring them up to speed on Rotary and anthem etiquette. That said, I've got the puppy here beside me, and she did happen to be standing for the anthem, but she is now lying down. So we're not going to fine Wayne for the dog's breach of etiquette. They're not members, so they may not know the rules, but he might want to fine them a treat or two. Next shot, Secretary Jeff. Actually, I'll start with Marshall. But Marshall, do you want to introduce Takaya or have Iain do so?
Oh, you're on mute,
Marshall. There we go.
Unmute. Okay, there we are. Thank you, President Deb and Dr. Eric. Takaya Green, who is no relation, is a singer, songwriter, and actress living in Barrie, Barrie native. She also has a career as a sound in the bold sound of soulful pop with an indie tone. Takaya has previously performed in multiple charity events, so it's Moving Arts, Triple Threat program in Barrie, Theater by the Bay, which is tied in with our speaker today, and the Ontario Musicians Cooperative, which is the busking program that goes around Barrie. And currently she's in her second year at Sheridan College, studying for a Bachelor's of Music Theater Performance degree.
That's great. Thanks, Marshall. It's hopefully hope people are enjoying the virtual anthems and a little bit of local content. We are open for your own renditions. If you would like to do a karaoke version of "O Canada," and send it off to me. I know we've got a couple of voices in the crowd that could be good at that. So feel free. Okay, next slide, please. This is a pretty awesome shot that came in from Mallory. Last week's exceptional program, and first off, thanks as well to acting SAA Steve for a terrific job last week. You noticed a phenomenal program filling in for a gap. And one of the things that was part of that program were great videos of both Scotty Elliott and Dennis Tuck. But little did we know the efforts put into making Dennis look good on camera. Personal stylist and stage manager like Scott, that's a pretty big deal. Scott, did you want to share anything about your new career, or is this more of a sideline for you?
Well, Mallory's provided us with some great facilities, so thank you, Mallory. And I think we were a little bit tardy on our pictures. So it takes a little bit to gussy up some of these fellas, but he's got the new wave hair going, and I think we pulled the pictures off pretty well. I do see that I've gained a little bit of weight back, though. That's a little bit disturbing. Otherwise, all the pictures came through well, and I'm sure they're going to work out good.
Well, the camera does always add 10 pounds, Scotty, so you got to remember that. Now, are you advertising for Mallory, or does Mallory is Mallory online? Does she want to chip in on what it took to get these guys looking reasonable?
A lot of wattage.
Missing Mallory. We did notice Dennis's hair. That's a lot of hair. I tell you what, since this is a kind of a new sideline, actually, you know what? You guys filled a program gap last week. It does seem a bit unfair to fine you. So how about you guys get a bid in on the Michael LeCollier and Bonnie baby pool in the next week, and we'll just say thanks for some great stories last week. Really wish we'd had some video of Scott's fun run escapade on that one. Thanks, Scotty. Next slide, please. So this is a follow-up, because I do see we've got Wallace in the crowd today. So if you watched the meeting last week, acting SAA Steve had this catch, and thanks to Peter Lorimer for this pick. Wallace, we are fining you $5 for hurting our eyes with that shirt. It's an interesting fashion crime. As President Deb said, there was no Rotary logo in sight, although it would be pretty hard to pick it out of the mishmash there. I think one thing that would come through clearly is that Mary Lou wore it better. So Wallace, can you, if you and your crowd there want to chip in, how's Wallace's fashion today?
President Dave or Deb, I take great exception to this because I'm pretty sensitive about what I wear and how I wear it. It just so happened that Mary Lou and I dressed in separate rooms, but we ended up with the same
color in our shirt. As far as the Rotary emblem, it's tattooed on my left breast. And I just didn't want to display that because I figured it would probably hurt everybody's eyes. So I think it should have bias. And,
That's nice.
And thanks, Peter Lormer, by the way.
Peter's always there for you. Okay, so we're going to add $2 for the President Dave. That's you're a little bit out of time on that one, Wallace. So let's make that $7, and do feel free to chip in on the Michael and Bonnie bid as well. So if you want to take that up to 17 and put your bid in on a date, that would be just dandy. Yeah, Mary Lou definitely wore it better, pal.
Sergeant,
Sorry, we had a chip in there.
if I could, Sergeant Arms Eric and President Deb, I just wanted to let you know that it's great to have all these people here today, and everybody was more than happy to contribute funds for lunch and to help cover the costs, except for the person pictured on screen. So you may want to factor that into your fine there, Eric.
It's just going up and up. Did he partake in any of the food or beverage?
Well, it was kind of portioned out that everybody would have 2 sandwiches. So Wallace got here first and had 4. So asked President Jim that showed up when he showed up, unfortunately was unable to have a sandwich today because of Strike Man Wallace.
And never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
By the way, Jody, that's quite a crew you've got there. It looks very similar to the crew you had at the last meeting or two. Is this a new Sunshine Zoom corner you got going on?
No, it's varied up. There's actually only 3 people, I think, that were here last time. So I only have a limited amount of people that will talk to me in Rotary. So Mikey stole some of them today while he was Mike. So I only have so many people that are willing to come here and have lunch with me. So there's going to be some repeats.
Very good. That's reasonable, Jody. We're not going to find anybody who's creating fellowship in the club. Michael, there appears to be a bit of an age disparity between you and the senior fellows you had over for the meeting. That was kind of you. Did you guys want to thank Michael for having that happen?
Well, President Deb and Eric, I don't think there's that much of a discrepancy. It just depends on who I'm sitting around right now.
We're all young at heart.
I resemble that remark.
Pretty nice. It's nice of you to take care of those older fellas. It looks like a good group to have around. Okay, let's.
That is the guy sitting by himself.
Well, you know, I haven't had a lot of invites and not a lot of friends out there, so yeah, it could be a little bit of sour grapes. It's very true.
Well, after your holiday last week, we didn't know if you'd be listening to us.
This is true. That's true. Yeah, silence could go both ways. It's kind of nice. All right, let's move on to a new slide there, Secretary Jeff.
Jeff?
Yeah, here we've got a nice picture sent in to us by past president of a different club, Doug Jernigan. Doug, you brought up your great-grandson at a prior meeting, but you didn't have a photo at the time. Did you want to introduce us more formally to Bon?
Sure, thanks, S.A. Eric. President Deb. My great-grandson Bon was born in June, and he spells his name B-A-H-N. His father's name is Connor, my grandson. Connor spells his name K-O-N-R. That part of my family likes the uniqueness of their names. But the interesting thing is that when his father, Connor, was born, he was held, I got a photo somewhere and I couldn't find it, or I sent it to you. He was held by his great-great-grandfather, who was 99 at the time.
Wow.
So if I can go another 25 years, I'll be in the same position. Maybe be able to hold my great-great-grandson. Anyway, thank you.
That's pretty cool, Doug. That's interesting that you've got kind of spelling challenged relatives.
Sergeant at Arms Eric, through to President Deb, if I may. not to be outdone, I also have a announcement of a new grandson. This is our 8th grandchild, born on the 21st to my son Sean and his wife Lissa. His name's Oliver James, and he's healthy and 8 pounds, 10 ounces.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Oh,
There we go.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is terrific news. Past President Doug, I am sure that that's a pretty good news announcement, probably worth $5 for a great granddad contribution. Are you in for that?
A virtual $5 or a real $5?
Of course I'm in for that. I just need for somebody to post the link again.
Great. Yep, you can e-transfer to me, or you can use the donation link. We can do that in the beacon. Bernie, was that you that was giving us the grandson note?
Oh, that is me. Yeah, this is me. Yeah.
You're kind of small on my screen amongst the rest of your senior colleagues there.
Yeah, I'm back here.
So Bernie, I'm real fond of a buck a pound for grandchild announcements.
Oh.
So how are you for $8 for that really good news announcement?
Sure thing. I'll round it up to 10. How's that?
Sounds good. You don't want to really recommend a 10-pounder though to anybody in the room.
No.
Speaking of babies, let's go to slide 6, or the next one. All right, back to babies. So the Mike and Bonnie baby pool. We've got a few entries that have been coming in. It's your opportunity. I'll remind you of the deal on this one. A few weeks ago, we initiated a baby pool so you can have some skin in the game for Mike and Bonnie's impending arrival. So here's the deal. You send me $10 plus your chosen date in September and your guess as to gender of the baby. You can e-transfer that to my email address. We've had a few do that, or you can use the club's donation site. If you're going to do that, then reference what it's for. There's an SAA Finds choice on the drop-down menu on Canada Helps. For this is a 50-50 draw. The winner gets to get half the pot donated to a charity of your choice. The house takes the other half for the SAA pot fine, which will go into Rotary charities or to fellowship efforts. Proud Daddy Michael will also provide the winner with a quality bottle of adult beverage. Michael and Bonnie, how are things going? Are you feeling good?
Actually, everything's going very well. Things are moving along. Maybe you want to get a profile, Bonnie?
Oh,
yeah.
That's a good baby bump.
All right, that'll help you in your estimations as you're getting your dates set up. So come on and join us on this one. That's congratulations, and that's a great news for the club. Okay, last slide, Secretary Jeff. For this week's pet pick, Marta sent me this one. Lorraine and I have met Penny in person, so we're familiar. But could you please introduce Penny to the club?
Hi, President Deb and Secretary Jeff and SAA Eric. Okay, so this is Penny. Penny is a budgie, and that's Penny and her favorite toy, which is that yellow mirror. Penny is 7 years old, and budgies usually live 10 to 12 years. And so this is Penny.
Cute.
Thanks, Marta. Yeah, we've got a few Rotarians that also have a favorite mirror as their best toy. I did want to congratulate. Oh, look at Scotty's got the baby pics up in the background now. It's nice.
Got to be good for a fine.
That's pretty good. That's a little bit of brag shop.
I'll take a fine for the Brandon clan.
Nice.
And Miles.
That's beautiful. I did want to note that Marta's going for the trifecta there. She introduced all of the meeting leads with Deputy Secretary Jeff and myself. So that's, that's something you can all aspire to show respect where it's obviously due. All right, thanks for sharing that, Marta. Pet pics come with no associated fine. It's just kind of fun to see who your friends are out there and who may be attending some of your meetings. So get your pet pics in if you want to be part of that game. President Debbie, I am done, and it's back over to you.
Awesome. Well, welcome back. Love having you back. I don't know. The last SAA was a little sketchy, so we'll see what happens next time there. So any early leavers, keeping with tradition, please send a little note to Iain through the chat to apologize if you need to leave. And from that, we do have Iain. Now, the last name is Moggach?
Moggach, but yes,
Okay.
Pretty close.
Wonderful. From Theatre by the Bay. And we have Marshall, who is going to introduce you.
Thank you, President Deb. It's my pleasure to introduce Iain Moggach today. As many of you know, I have a long history with Theatre by the Bay. I was dragged around the city of Barrie some 20 years ago by Larissa Mayer as we collected money to build Barrie's first professional, homegrown professional theatre organization. Iain is the third of the artistic directors for Theatre by the Bay. And since moving to Barrie in 2015, Iain has established himself as a central figure, not only at Theatre by the Bay, of course, but in Simcoe County's cultural community. Under Iain's leadership, Theatre by the Bay has won numerous awards, including being the first arts organization to win the Mayor's Innovation Award for Most Innovative Not-for-Profit. Iain himself was recently recognized by the Barrie Chamber of Commerce as a 2019 Young Professional of the Year. These successes are a testament to Iain's belief in Theatre by the Bay's mission to create a stronger theatrical community in Barrie by empowering local artists and telling local stories. Ladies and gentlemen, Iain Moggach.
Thank you very much, Marshall, for that wonderful introduction. And I want to thank everyone for having me here today. In particular, I want to thank President Deb, Secretary Jeff, and SAA Eric, as well as Bruce Shipley as well for helping to set this up, in what feels like a literal lifetime ago, which was January of this year. So anyway, so huge thank you to all of you. Now, I do actually have a PowerPoint presentation if someone wanted to hand over speaker ability so I can share my screen. I don't know if I can just do that. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Awesome. And then I just need to hit that. Great. Can everyone hear me and see me okay? Yeah, we're all good? Excellent. Thank you. Okay. So just before I get started about what I wanted to chat about today, I just thought I'd kind of bring people up to speed in case they're not very familiar with Theatre by the Bay and our mission. Theatre by the Bay, as Marshall said, was founded in 2001 by Larissa Mayer and Nick Bailey, who had the dream of presenting live theatre on Barrie's beautiful waterfront. Now, this started back in the day with productions of Shakespeare, as well as productions for young audiences. But around 2013, that mandate started to shift towards telling local stories. And that was actually the result of a lot of surveying that we did, where our audiences felt that, or part of the reason that our audiences came out to see live theater was because they felt a connection to the piece. And, that could be stuff like popular stories, stuff that might, elicit nostalgic reactions. But we decided to take it a different direction and take that to mean that we should actually start to tell the stories of our community. And because of the fact that, Barrie, Theatre by the Bay is one of the 2 professional theater companies in Barrie, we felt that there was also a vacuum of opportunities for Barrie artists and artists within Simcoe County that are looking to become professionals or, are professionals in this area. So this combination of hiring local artists and telling local stories became Theatre by the Bay's mission over the last few years. And this is manifested in all these different ways. So for instance, we've done several history productions where we have brought local stories to life. So, you know, just two examples being the production that we did of We Must Have More Men, which was about the impact of the First World War in Barrie. And it was actually one of the first shows to ever tour out to Base Borden, where we actually produced and performed the show for 750 students from across Simcoe County at the theater there, the Terra Theater. And as well, Mary of Shanty Bay, which was about the founding of the Shanty Bay community and St. Thomas Anglican Church out there. And that was extremely popular. In fact, it was our first production to ever sell out completely before it opened, which is basically unheard of in theater and something that we're very, very proud of. We've also, you know, taken a little bit of liberties with local stories. So, you know, many of you might be familiar with the production that we did in 2018 of Northern Lights, which was about the Molson marijuana grow-up bust of 2004. It was very, very funny. It was the farcical take on that story. And yeah, it was something a little different and a little unexpected. But then also, you know, we haven't just done history productions. We've also wanted to do contemporary stories and stuff like that as well. So in 2017, we did a production called The 5 Points, which was a documentary play about downtown Barrie and examined in particular issues of homelessness, development, and, you know, different perspectives on what we want Barrie's downtown to look like in the future. And as well, last year we did the production called the Cenotaph Project, which looked at the Second World War from the perspective of youth in 2019. And we worked with Eastview Secondary School in the development of that project. And it was timed so that it corresponded with the 75th anniversary of D-Day last year. So it was a really cool take on local history where we blended the past and the present. And Marshall sort of alluded to this, but as a result of the work, we've actually received several remarkable awards within just the last couple of years. Just to showcase a few here. So we were the recipient of the 2019 Barrie Heritage Award. We received the Tourism Champion Award from Tourism Barrie's Toast Tourism Awards. We've consistently been voted Best Live Theater at the Barrie Advanced Readers' Choice Awards. And as Marshall said, we were the first arts organization to receive the Mayor's Innovation Award for Most Innovative Not-for-Profit, which is pretty cool. As well as many others, recognizing our leaders, artists, and friends. One that I just wanted to give a little shout out to was to Marshall Green, who won the Barrie Arts Award last year for his extensive contributions to the Barrie arts and cultural community. So kudos to Marshall for all his amazing work and recognition of that. Now, in a universe where we didn't have the current pandemic, we were going to expand a little bit upon our mandate. So this season, you know, in 2020, alternate 2020, would have featured a production about the Barrie tornado of 1985. Our first musical, and actually Takaya, it was great to see Takaya perform because she was actually the female lead in that production, or scheduled to be. We were also going to do our first original musical about the Oro African Church and you know, the Underground Railroad and the establishment of that community. And we were actually going to bring back Mary of Shanty Bay as well, and it was actually going to be performed in several different cities across Ontario as a bit of a tour, you know, expanding our mandate and hopefully bringing people to Barrie and showcasing the incredible work of our local arts community. But of course, with the pandemic having happened, this gave us a chance to really reimagine how live theater can work. And of course, you know, in those early couple months where especially the performing arts, the world of the performing arts was looking rather grim. You know, after having got over that point, we said, okay, well, what can we do going into next year to, you know, to address some of the issues that we see and actually turn this moment of great crisis into one of opportunity. And the bottom line being that, you know, one of the big obstacles that we expect is, you know, how do we recapture consumer confidence, with the trepidation about attending a live performance, with that classic quote that's sort of becoming synonymous now, which is, I'm afraid of being in a confined space with lots of strangers. Now, of course, in another universe back before this pandemic, that was actually one of the benefits of live theater, that you were in a space with a lot of people, hopefully, and you're witnessing something live take place. But without that community feeling, what else can we provide? So, looking to the future, we're expecting to do a lot more online performances. This spring, we actually did a little bit of a test of that. We run an educational program for aspiring theater directors, and this also served as a means for us to sort of test what the interest and how potentially we could present plays using Zoom, not as a hindrance, but actually as the the palette, the canvas for creative expression. And it was really interesting to see what those young directors came up with, and for us to sort of work out, how we can steal what they did and build on their successes. We're also expecting to do a lot more outdoor theater. So kind of like coming back to our roots, and considering that 2021 will mark the 20th anniversary of Theater by the Bay, I think there's something there that we could do, to sort of like, we're going back, but with this new energy, with this new mandate, and with the downtown looking very different than it did 20 years ago when we started. Oh, and I should mention that these are 2 outdoor performances that we have already done, both that took place at Meridian Place. The first one on the left of your screen was a dramatic reading of a play by a local playwright, Trudy Romanek, called Between the Lines. And that was actually part of a collaboration we did with the city of Barrie for the 75th anniversary of D-Day, because the play was about the real story of Bob Henson, who fought in World War II. And then on the right was a performance of We Must Have More Men. It was like a confined or shrunken performance of just a couple key scenes that was presented as part of Remembrance Day in 2018. And as you'll see behind the performer Stephen there, it was snowing and extremely cold, but we made it happen. Artists always find a way. But then as well, we're also interested in looking into how we can create intimate theatrical experiences. So, how do we do a play for an audience of 6 people, right? Like one social bubble kind of idea, where we can keep that authentic intimacy that is provided through live theater, but also kind of keep it that, you're with just people that you trust, so that way, if someone coughs or whatever, you are aware of who they are and all that kind of stuff as well. And, although we're not ready quite yet to announce what those plans are, I think you'll see when our season announcement for next year does come out, you'll see these 3 principles: online performances, outdoor performances, and intimate theatrical experiences making the core of our 2021 season. And you can look forward to hearing about that hopefully this fall. Now, what we think these sorts of approaches will provide is that it creates theater with social distancing at its core, right? Because it's not just the audiences that we need to think about, it's also the artists, right? Theater is a very intimate art form. It's about, and spatial relationships, physical relationships with your scene partners, with your creative team, are very, very important. And, when you have like a mask covering half your face, it just creates a lot of additional pressures and issues that we would have to think about. And as well, it's hard to regulate, especially if people are coming in from different communities, different social bubbles, to regulate all the things that one would have to. So instead, what if we just put all those things aside and think about social distanced theater at its core? And when you think about it that way, it does change our perspective a lot and introduces all sorts of opportunities for us. It also forces us to be really creative, right? Like, I'm actually a big fan of people putting guidelines on creative projects. Like, it has to be this many words, or it has to be, 2 characters or something like that. As an artist, that excites me because, within those parameters, all sorts of amazing art can still happen. So, for us as artists looking to next season, it's really getting us to sort of think outside the box about how we present theater, where we present theater, and how we can use those environments, those social settings, and perhaps even technologies into the core of telling a really good story live for an audience. But then also, it allows us to be a little bit more collaborative, I think. Like, instead of perhaps a cohesive, A to B to C story, we could be a bit more social in terms of how the stories are presented, right? So a play could be potentially a series of different monologues, like one person speeches, and that different writers work on their own, but that we come together perhaps through Zoom or through online technologies and see if there are ways that we can intertwine them to tell a really interesting story. And what I think this will do is not only create more collaborative theater instead of a bit more of a traditional top-down model, but that it also opens the doors for new artists to emerge, right? So people who perhaps have never thought of writing an entire play by themselves before could potentially write a monologue about a perspective that they understand through their own, life experience, or, because they connect to a certain character or local story. So I'm really excited about the potential within that, and what sort of artists will emerge by providing the local community with those sorts of opportunities. Now, of course, we've got to keep busy, right? The company's got to pay me to do something. So as well, the company has taken this time, and I think actually as an industry, the arts have really taken this time to kind of breathe, connect, and address issues that we see within our organizations. And that has been incredibly valuable to me personally. So this spring, I was actually the arts and culture representative for the City of Barrie's economic task force for COVID-19. And that was a fantastic opportunity to just kind of like connect with the local arts leaders and really ask them, what do you guys need right now? And how can the city best help you in this current situation? And being able to kind of compile all that information and express it to leaders within their own respective fields was a really, really great opportunity. And I think gave me a much better sense of, what the community needs going forward beyond just simply like financial support. So that was really cool. As well, I think a lot of the conversations happening around the world right now, and rightfully so, I believe, is about how can we better reflect the diversity and include more people within our community of different backgrounds and different perspectives. The arts have had a lot of very white leaders for a long time. And a lot of the stories that we see presented, especially on stage, have been from white perspectives. But as Canada continues to become increasingly more of a diverse country, and as Barrie becomes increasingly more diverse as a community, if Theatre by the Bay in particular is going to be the local storytellers, right? If we're going to tell the stories of this community, we have to make sure that, we are making sure that voices that are not perspectives from mine are welcomed into their community, are provided a platform to tell their stories, and feel like they have a place at every level of the organization, from the leaders at the top to volunteers to boards of directors. And it was a really important project to start to create that action plan, and we will hopefully have that finalized by the fall, sort of as a you can hold us to it kind of model. So that's really cool. Another cool initiative that has happened this year is we, of course, have lots and lots of costumes and fabrics at our storage unit. And some of our local designers have actually taken on taking apart some of our costumes and building headbands for masks for local frontline workers. And, so this has been for retirement homes, for different frontline worker communities. And and at the last check that I got, which was about a couple weeks ago, they'd made over 400 of these headbands for people in the community. So that was really cool. And just the thought of, these costumes being repurposed in all these interesting ways is really, really exciting. And I was delighted to see that. And that was actually something that the designers approached me about doing, which is really, really cool. But then it also, allows us to provide more time for our artists to develop their work, right? As a company that does entirely new work, time is a real asset. Overall, it takes several years to write a script, and our artists our playwrights in particular, have been on crunches as this mandate has become stronger and stronger. But now I believe we are ready to start thinking 3, 4, 5 years ahead and start to give those artists contracts now that they can start working on, especially for stuff like musicals, which are so labor intensive and time intensive. And then also training the artists of tomorrow. And Theatre by the Bay back in March received Trillium Grow Grant to support us in this. So Theatre by the Bay runs 3 different educational programs. The Indie Producer Co-op brings 2 Toronto artists to Barrie to learn how to be theater producers, like how to have my job essentially. And it has run for 6 years. And in fact, the reason that it's a particular passion of mine is because I was actually an indie producer when it started 6 years ago. I was an inaugural participant, and it was the first time that I'd ever been to Barrie was through this co-op, and I've basically never left. So it's a great program. Barrie Theatre Lab is a play development program that we do where people can bring in their works in progress. We read them out loud and provide feedback. And 10 of the scripts that have been workshopped at the Barrie Theatre Lab have actually been produced across Ontario. And also the Emerging Director Project, which just started this year, which I alluded to earlier, that provides local aspiring theater directors the chance to helm a project that's all theirs, as well as assistant direct for a working professional, so that way they can kind of see what a professional theatrical environment is like. And thanks to the Trillium grant that we received, we'll actually start to begin to combine these programs. And in 2022, we will have the first ever Simcoe County Theater Festival, which will be a festival of new plays by local writers that will employ local artists to tell them. And, that will be work that perhaps Theatre by the Bay can't produce by itself, right? We can only do so much. In an ideal world, we do more, but we can only do so much with the budget that we have. So this is going to sort of be the fill-in for all those kinds of projects. So Marshall in particular asked me to really talk about why arts and culture are important. And I know that I am running out of time, so I will keep this concise. But arts and culture really are at the intersection of so many different elements of urban life that people care about, right? In terms of Theatre by the Bay, we use the 5 Points Theatre downtown for our productions. There's a deep tie to tourism, heritage, all these kinds of things. But also, performing arts by being involved in them, but also by watching them, being part of them. They are known to be great benefits to communities' mental health. They also provide outlets for creativity, and by that community experience, create a sense of belonging. And then also, in an ideal world, they'd also provide a measure of escape from the real world as well. And the arts, of course, have a massive economic impact. 65% of businesses said that skilled workers agree that a thriving arts and culture scene is a driving factor when considering relocation. As well, the arts have a massive economic impact. They're a huge section of our economy, and there's all sorts of great information out there I won't get into because I do want to keep it concise, that you can find online about just how much the arts does for a community's economy. If you're interested in helping out, of course, one of the big things right now is that the city of Barrie runs a granting program, and arts and culture aren't really the things that people are at the top of people's lists when, you know, especially when they're thinking about economic recovery going forward. So, you know, if you can talk to your local counselors and ask them to invest more into the cultural grant program. As you can see here, you know, the budget for the cultural grant program is barely 1% of the annual city's budget, and even just 0.5% more would make a massive difference, especially for the arts community, which is hurting so badly right now. Also, you can donate and follow online organizations like Theatre by the Bay. Theatre by the Bay has a massive online presence, but then also get involved. You know, if you have a story that you want to tell, I have my email on the next slide. Reach out to me if you've got a cool local story that you think would make a great play. If you want to get into writing, there are resources like the Barrie Theatre Lab that are out there to, you know, give you the feedback and support that you need as you write your first script. There's all sorts of amazing ways of being involved. And that's how to reach us. theatrebythebay.com. I just fixed our website. Is speaking about things that I did this year while we couldn't do shows. I fixed our website. My email is there, and then of course again through our social media. And that's all I've got.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Iain. Now, do we have any questions?
President Deb, there's one thing I wanted, if I wouldn't mind, if Iain touched on as well. Several years ago, I went to see the show War Story, War Horse at the Royal Alexander. And as I was flipping through the program, I noticed that on the technical side and the star of the show all came from Barrie. The star of the show actually started in Theatre by the Bay. I just wanted Iain to give you a little bit of a thought about the talent that we actually have in Barrie and Simcoe County, and how much talent do we have, and what kinds of talent do we have in terms of culture?
Absolutely. Well, that's a point, Marshall. Yeah, Barrie has a thriving arts community and has incredible, like years and years and years of incredible success stories. You know, people who started at groups like Moving Arts, like Takaya, you know, to professionals that got their first gig through Theatre by the Bay. You can see Barrie's talent everywhere. And that isn't just for theater. I mean, there's great groups like the Barrie music scene, I want to say. Is that the group, Marshall? Barrie music.
The
Barrie
buses,
music.
Yeah, there's the music, musicians cooperative.
Yes, that's right. Yes, but there's also that Facebook that does like live streams.
Barrie Live Arts. The Barrie Live Arts.
Barrie Live. Yeah, Barrie Live Music. Yeah. So there's fantastic groups like that, and you know, I think one of the amazing things about Barrie as a community is that, you know, we're 140,000 people, but we have cultural events every single month, lots of them, of different disciplines, different sizes, different styles. So you can really find anything that you're looking for here in Barrie. And I think that's something that we don't celebrate enough. And that's the reason that we have, you know, these incredible artists going forth and occasionally coming back. Like one of my favorite moments from Stars to Come Out last year was David Ball, who, you know, has been at the Shaw Festival for several years now as a performer, talking about how, you know, working for Theatre by the Bay was like his escape as a gay boy from Barrie in the 90s. You know, it gave him a chance to, and early 2000s, it gave him a chance to, it gave him community and all these kinds of things that he was looking for, that helped propel him into the successful career that he's had. So yeah, it's an amazing place, and we don't celebrate it enough.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got something for him. Oops, sorry, Iain or Eric. Yeah, Iain, I just wanted to sort of comment that you know, normally this weekend we're approaching would be our Kempenfest weekend, which is generally a really busy weekend for Rotarians. And I had a couple of questions, but you answered them. You had a really great presentation, so I kind of, my mind started shifting somewhere else, which isn't uncommon. But you know, the Kempenfest is all about the arts and different things, and then we've had discussions about involving Theatre by the Bay with our emerging artist stages and some of those things, along with Louise Jackson. But I started thinking that maybe, you know, because it's the waterfront and the beach, that maybe an idea for a play would be something called The Beach, and it would be sort of a comedy, could even be like a Shakespearean tragedy about the Jeff Lehman, Doug Ford, Mike McCann kind of thing, going back and forth about the overcrowding and getting into that debate. Maybe get Rob Hamilton in there to play a part. Maybe it'll be a moderator. I think it's got some legs. It's something that you should consider moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a sorts of very tongue-in-cheek sorts of things that we could do for sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think like Alex Doe, the former artistic director, and I have often semi-joked about doing like a story about Patrick Brown and the Doug Ford takeover of the Conservative Party. Like there's amazing local stories that I think would make fantastic theater. And yeah, I would love that for sure.
Yeah,
we could even do it in the parking lot.
Yeah, a musical is what I have in mind, something along those lines. But anyways, that was my comment, less of a question than just a comment. But thanks again for your day.
We'll talk. I'll email you. Let's talk about that.
Thank you, Paul. I'm just wondering what role you're bucking to play. But the official thing.
If you talk to Jody Patfield, he'll say I'm Doug Ford, but I'm going to pass that one on to Tucky. So we'll see what happens.
Stu's out there. Do we have Stu? Past President Stu. I don't see he's on.
I'm right here.
There you are.
I'm here. Ian, it's my pleasure to thank you for your presentation today. Personally, when Theater by the Bay started in 2001, I was there, Sandy and I were there at that presentation, and basically I was hooked. Sandy, of course, has been very involved in your organization over the years, but we've seen pretty much every production you've put on, and it's always been great. But during these times, certainly challenging for the arts especially, and obviously you have not been just sitting back on your haunches and waiting for the whole thing to pass. You've been very, very busy and exploring different avenues that you can pursue. The one thing that I really miss about this whole thing is getting together in your backyard and watching a presentation or a production of Shakespeare where you've got blankets hanging over ropes and sitting on stumps and your kitchen chairs and huddling in your kitchen during rainouts, and that's it's just so much fun. And you have done such a marvelous job with theater and with the arts in Barrie. And we really do want to thank you for all that you've been doing for the arts, and thank you for coming today and speaking to us.
Stu, thank you. I really appreciate those comments. For anyone who's curious about what the heck he's talking about, so my wife and I 2 years ago started, we're looking around, and because Theater by the Bay doesn't do Shakespeare anymore, that doesn't mean that there isn't an audience for it. So, we called up a couple of our friends, said, hey, we've got this idea. Let's do A Midsummer Night's Dream in our backyard. Here's the role we want you for. Are you in? Of course, everybody said yes. And it kind of started like its own little thing called Burrowed Theater. And yeah, and I actually proposed the opening night of the show after the first performance. And it's a really, really fun project. And yeah, it's really taken off in its own way. And last year, we actually did a performance at Friday Harbor Resort, and they're buying more of them. So it's crazy. I think one of the things that Theater by the Bay, is realizing more and more as an organization is that Barrie is really excited about fantastic new ideas, and stuff like Burrowed Theater, where it was like, I don't know, let's just put on a show with our friends and see if people come out or whatever. The enthusiasm for it, through rain or shine has been really, really remarkable. But I do appreciate that a lot. It's I'm very happy to have made this place my home in a very sincere way, and I really love this community. I love groups like this where you can just feel the camaraderie and the friendship that, forged through time and lots of drinking. And yeah, it's
We'll
just a
stop
great
on the
place to
drink.
live and work.
I'm gonna call you back on that. We don't drink. This isn't a drinking group. We don't do anything
Sure.
like that. So yeah.
Sure. Okay. But
You're
yes,
gonna
I'm
give
very,
away
very
all our
happy to be here.
secrets. But I too want to thank you very much for taking the time and coming to share. And certainly, the enthusiasm shows, and we love that. And certainly, we love you. We love Marshall for bringing arts and culture to us on a regular basis. So thank you very much for that.
Absolutely. And sorry, if I can just add to that final point. So if you aren't part of Marshall's newsletter, speaking of connecting an arts community, is a gift.
I'm going to reel you in here.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that.
Marshall's good. He lets us know. We're good. But we do have a certificate for you.
Oh, nice. Oh, lovely.
So thank you very much for being our guest speaker. So we will be donating in your name 10 polio plus vaccinations, as well as polio is combined with COVID using the resources that polio has worldwide. So we will be making a contribution towards the fight against COVID in your name as well. So thank you very much for coming in. Hopefully you'll come and see us again.
Absolutely. Anytime. I love these.
Thank you. And on this note, we do have President Deb's Stronger Together, Together Inspired Moment. Now, do we have that picture? There we go. So that picture, Ian, should be familiar to you. It is the globe. So when we talk about stronger together, together isn't always the word together. Together can also mean a company. So when we look to the arts, we look to more the term company when we come together. So there were 5 partners from the Lord Chamberlain's company, of which included Shakespeare himself, who came together to lease the globe. And with that, it opened in 1599, and it became the playhouse where audiences first saw some of Shakespeare's best known plays. And together, those 5 partners enabled to inspire incredible growth to the arts and the culture. Today, we feel its impact throughout our schools, our theaters, the audiences, and of course, our economy. So thank you very much for that, Ian, and hopefully we tied in the Stronger Together, Together Inspired moment. So having no other business, no other Rotary business, I declare this meeting adjourned. Got my little thing. There. Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone. Everyone's on mute.
Thank
so
you.
Hopefully can we unmute?
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Betty Ann.
Happy birthday, Deb.
Thanks, President Deb.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Everyone.
Happy birthday, Deb.
Happy birthday, Betty Ann.
Thank you, everyone.
Enjoy the weekend, people.